In schoolyard softball or baseball or football or basketball games, when you do a game of, let's pick teams. And usually the weakest player or the player that has no skill is the last taken. Well, this is kind of bizarre, ladies and gentlemen. When the 1980 NHL entry draft was first put on the record, this guy was the last pick in, of all things, round 10. Should he have been taken last overall? Of course not. 210th overall by the Philadelphia Flyers. This guy was a strong University of New Hampshire player, an all-star, a well-recognized skater, and a lot of people thought he was going to go earlier, but Flyers took a chance on him, and he ended up being probably one of the most important long shots in NHL history, and he continues to give back in the game as one of the best color commentators out there. Now, today we have to be talking about the man with class, the man that's on NESN more often than highlights of the Bruins of the 1970s, Andy Brickley. Now, born Andrew Brickley in Melrose, Massachusetts, beautiful community, 5'11", 200 pounds, a left winger. Spent 14 seasons playing in the NHL, the AHL, and the IHL. Now, he currently serves as color commentator for the Boston Bruins on NESN. Now, he came to Major Providence as a youngster, playing in a 1974 Quebec International Pee-wee hockey tournament with a minor hockey squad from his hometown. Now, he eventually signed with the University of New Hampshire Wildcats. He skated with them from 1979 to 1982. Now, in 93 games for the Wildcats, he had 68 goals and 69 assists for 137 points. He led the Wildcats to the NCAA Final Four in 82 and was named first team NCAA All-American the same year. Now let's put this in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. His draft year, he had 32 points in 27 games. 81, he had 52 points in 31 games. And 82, again that All-Star season, 53 points in 75 games. The Flyers decided to send him to the Maine Mariners for seasoning. Now, that year with Maine, he had a tremendous rookie campaign, 83 points in 76 games, 14 points in the playoffs, and a goal and assist in 2 games with Philadelphia. 84 was a very interesting campaign, and let's go over it very, very quickly. Now, he became the second player after Jerry Meehan to play in the NHL after being drafted last overall. Now, he first appeared again with the Flyers in 82 and 83. But this is what happened. This was a big, big trade, one of the biggest in early 1980s history. They traded Brickley to the Penguins with Ron Flockhart, Mark Taylor, and 2 1984 draft picks in October 83 in exchange for Rich Sutter and 2 1984 draft picks. Rich, of course, is part of the Sutter family. Now, he played a total of 95 games for the Penguins over 2 seasons, getting 25 goals and 35 assists. Now, he was briefly demoted to the Baltimore Skipjacks of the AHL after he was caught breaking curfew with teammate Mike Bullard. Mike Bullard, of course, a hockey player, not the talk show host. There's published reports of that. I guess he decided to check out the bar system in Montreal in a beer tasting test, allegedly, supposedly. Now, eventually, the New Jersey Devils acquired Brickley in 85 and sent him back to the Maine Mariners for the 86 season. Now, in 60 games with Maine, he collected 26 goals and 34 assists, giving him the 4th most points on the team. He eventually made his debut with the Devils in 86 and played a total of 96 games in 2 seasons with 19 goals and 26 assists. In 87, he took a puck off his face in a game in Chicago, eventually losing 5 teeth and getting 30 stitches, the first time in his career that he would have been injured in such a manner. He was eventually placed on waivers following the 88 season and left unprotected by the Devils in a waiver draft, although the team demoted him to Utica Devils in the effort to hide him and hold on to him for an additional season. However, the Bruins picked Brickley up in the waiver draft. Now, that first season with Boston drew him as a hometown hero, skated in 71 games with the Bruins in 89 with 13 goals and 22 assists. In addition to playing left wing, his natural position, he played center and right wing, filling in any position needed by Bruins coach Terry O'Reilly, a trend that continued the following season under Mike Milbury. Now, I talked to Terry O'Reilly in 2010 at a Boston alumni game at Woodstock, New Brunswick. He said Andy Brickley would always do whatever he was required. So it means he was kind of what, not in a bad way, but a filler. If a player got injured or got tired, he could play any position because he was that smart on the ice. Now, on December 5th, 88, he had another puck off his face, this time receiving credit for a goal after a Ray Bork slap shot smashed off his face and into the net. The injury required 5 stitches, but added a goal in his point tally for the season. Now, he was on his way to the best season of his career in 1990 before being struck down by several injuries. Now, he scored his first goal on October 26, 89 against the Nordiques, and he collected his first career hat trick against the Devils on November 18th, his former team. Now, just days later, however, he suffered an injury that severely hindered his ability to walk. In January, he pulled a muscle in his thigh and missed a week's work of games. 43 games in the season after totaling a career-high of 40 points. He was sidelined again when doctors discovered that a muscle in his right leg was calcifying, a condition known as myotosis afficans. Despite the injury and extended time of action, Brickley was allowed to briefly play in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals by Milbury. Now, according to the published reports at the time, this type of injuries causes the tendons and the muscles in the leg to basically almost harden. So obviously, not see dead tissue, but pretty close. Now, Brickley also had a leg injury on July 7, 1990, and missed all of training camp. He eventually placed Brickley on waivers by Boston after he struggled to return to form. Now, he then reported back to the Maine Mariners, now Boston's affiliate, after going unclaimed. He wanted to stay with the Bruins organization, but it was mixed with uncertainty. Now, Brickley, back in his second hometown, as we say, went on to tear with the Mariners with 25 points in 17 games, earned a brief recall to Boston, finishing the season with 2 goals and 9 assists in 40 games before injuring his shoulder in February. Now, Brickley began the 92 season in Maine, cut out of training camp in September. He did well with Maine, was named team captain out of training camp before rejoining the Bruins in October. Now, when he was recalled, he got 19 points in his first 11 games, including 8 goals and 15 shots in that span, before suffering a shoulder injury in a game against the Hartford Whalers in November, which turned out to be a torn rotator cuff. After surgery, he remained sidelined until February, first appearing in a charity skills competition with his teammates and winning the shooting accuracy contest, and then returning to the lineup in February against the St. Louis Blues. Now, still struggling late in the season, the Bruins eventually returned Brickley and other veterans to Maine, favoring youth over experience, and eventually cutting ties with them all after the season ended. Now, after being released from Boston, Brickley signed a 2-way contract with the Winnipeg Jets, marking the first Canadian Major League team he played for. He began the season with the AHL's popular affiliate for the Jets, the Moncton Hawks. After about 3 weeks in the AHL, the Jets recalled Brickley for an 11-game stretch, in which he had 2 points. He played 1 more regular season game for the Jets, plus 1 playoff game in which he collected a goal and assists. Now, however, while playing for the Hawks that season, he became a hometown favorite with 15 goals and 36 assists in 38 games. Now, Brickley appeared in just 2 games for Winnipeg the following year, but he continued to have success in the AHL. He played in barely more than half of the Hawks' first 56 games while recovering from another rotator cuff injury, but following his brief 2-game call-up with the Jets, he led the league in shooting at 26.7% and collected 4 assists in a single game against cross-province rivals Frankton the night after scoring the game-time goal with 4 seconds remaining of regulation. Now, for the 95 season, he joined the New York Islanders but never appeared in a game for them. Instead, he was assigned to the IHL's Denver Grizzlies, missing the first month and a half of the season with knee trouble. He returned to score 50 points in 58 games with Denver and led the team to a Turner Cup for the first of 2 consecutive seasons. He played his final game with the Grizzlies in '96 before retiring. Now, years later, after he retired, he said of his career, "My story is a good one. I was always a B-team player growing up. I walked on through college, and I finally got an opportunity because I stayed with it. I was the NHL's version of Mr. Irrelevant, and I happily played 13 years. Now, Brickley was never irrelevant. Brickley was the type of player that you could depend on him to score 15 to 20 goals, depend to get the shots when he need to be, a hard worker. The only player I can compare him with, it was the old Montreal Canadiens, Leon Rochefort, Claude LaRose, Jimmy Roberts. You think they're not doing anything, you think they're not contributing, but I don't think Boston would have been successful in a lot of the games. It would be for Andy Brickley, because he wasn't scared to fight, wasn't scared to take a penalty, wasn't intimidated by the opponents, because what are they going to say? Like why are you still here? He's been and he was a cost-efficient player, because no matter where he was playing, he could fit in any role, and that's what O'Reilly said, that he could do anything. Now, when he retired, his first experience as a broadcaster came when he participated in broadcast while he was injured. Now, not saying it was on his resume, but it drew good interest. Now, WBZ Radio, the famous Boston region radio station, hired Brickley in '96 to replace, of all people, Barry Patterson as a color commentator on Bruins radio broadcasts. In '97, UPN 38 selected Brickley as Derek Sanders' replacement on Bruins television broadcasts. He eventually joined NESN in 2000, initially working primarily road games with broadcaster Dave Shea. Now, beginning with the 2006 season, Brickley called all games during the road games with Jack Edwards and the home games with Dale Arnold. Now, since 2008, he and Edwards have called all of NESN's Bruins telecasts. He also did commentary for Versus, and occasionally done the same with NBCSN for the television NHL games as a guest commentator. Now, Brickley is known for using the phrase, get their skating game going, when the Bruins are mired in a stretch of lackluster play. Now, personally, I like Andy Brickley's style. Some people don't like his color commentator style. Do you think it's too dry? I think it basically is a situation. You need a person like Brickley to explain to the people watching that not every player on a squad will meet expectations, but in the right moment, like Brickley, they will. Because when you drafted last in the NHL draft, that means a team has looked at you 10 times and only the Flyers decided, hey, it's the way it goes. Now, Hingham, Massachusetts has been called home for Brickley for a number of years. He has a wife and 2 daughters. Now, Diane Brickley is on the board of directors for Good Sports, an organization that donates sporting goods to community organizations that offer sports programs to disadvantaged youths. Now, long part of the Brickley legacy is the sporting efforts in the family. His grandfather, George Brickley, played for the MLB's Philadelphia Athletics in 1913. His great-uncle was college football player and coach Charles Brickley. His younger brother, Quentin, was drafted in the '84 NHL entry by LA and also played for the University of New Hampshire. His nephew, Connor Brickley, played for the University of Vermont and was selected to play with Team USA at the 2012 World Junior Ice Hockey Championships. Now, his nephew, Daniel Brickley, also plays ice hockey. Now, overall NHL totals, again, deceptive, lot of injuries, up and down. 385 games, 82 goals, 122 points. He played 83, 84, 85, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, and back to the IHL for 3 straight seasons. He also showed up in Providence for 3 games in 2000 as part of their their veterans lineup that year. So overall, in my personal opinion, ladies and gentlemen, again, not say he could have scored 20 goals a season every season, but you look at certain campaigns when he went on streaks. I'll give you an example. 1992, he had 27 points in 23 games. Pittsburgh in '84, 38 points in 50 games. 23 points in 51 games in '87. If he ever played a full season, he would have got 20 goals, 40 assists. But like I said, injuries and bad luck or whatever. But all I know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're playing for the Maine Mariners in all their formations, all their years, the Maine Mariners Hall of Fame, or what he called the recognition of the players, Andy Brickley played a huge role in that because he legitimized the Maine Mariners into the mid to late 1980s, because a lot of people gave up on it when all the great prospects came up from Maine to the Flyers and we weren't left with much. But Brickley helped, especially in the 86 season. I mean, he was just flying. It was pretty. In 85 with Baltimore, when he had 18 points in 15 playoff games, and the playoffs for Moncton in 94. Boys, oh boys, oh boys. Was he well liked in Moncton? Because it takes a lot. If you can make it in Moncton, as we say in New Brunswick, you can make it anywhere. So that's a legend of Andy Brickley. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. It's our latest in our Boston Bruins Vintage podcast. But I want you to take a look, ladies and gentlemen, at the information for the 1980 entry draft. The amount of NHL players, the players that are drafted made the NHL. It's quite a bit. But this was the year, ladies and gentlemen, that we all know. Wickenheiser, Babbage, Savard, Murphy, Paul Coffey, Mikey Bullard, Jimmy Fox was there, Barry Peterson as well, Mo Mantha, Normie Rushmore, some really, Steve Ludzik was already there, Mike Allison, some really good players from that draft. But as I said, 210th overall, and him and Meehan as the only ones. And if you know about Meehan, everybody underrated him as well. You could never underrate Andy Brickley. And there was a write-up, I think, in my old newspaper, the Moncton Times. Kind of ironic, ladies and gentlemen. When I was working with the Moncton Times in the mid-1990s, my articles would be in the news section, page 5, province or whatever, and Andy Brickley's photo and write-up would have been in the sports section. So I'd like to thank you, Andy Brickley, because you putting up all those points in 1994 encouraged my readers not only to read my stuff, to read your stuff. So I really appreciate that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, like I said, let us know. Comments are always appreciated. Bye.